In this video, I'm making a hero shooter in Unity. That's it. That's the title. It's going to be a server authoritative hero shooter, similar to the likes of Overwatch and more recently Marvel Rivals. Clearly a bit ambitious for someone whose last game looks like it was built by a 3-year-old. But I don't need reality checks. I mean, Overwatch is basically on live support and I see a very profitable market over there. How hard can it be? Well, after the fiasco of my last game, I basically threw everything away and started over. Ever since I was young, I've been very interested in hero-style games, where you have different characters in the game and they all have a set of abilities that interact with each other, similar to League of Legends, Dota, and more recently Deadlock and Marvel Rivals. But the main problem of a hero shooter compared to a game like Counter-Strike is that each ability needs to be built one by one, and their interaction with each other also needs to be verified. That means the more skills we have, the number of interactions between them will multiply, and these interactions will get confusing. In addition to that, there is no good built-in way for an ability system in Unity. I finally decided to check out how other hero shooters were built, and saw that Marvel Rivals was built in Unreal Engine. Looking into Unreal Engine, I saw that they do in fact have their own gameplay ability system, and it's quite literally called Gameplay Ability System, abbreviated to GAS. Alright, that was real mature. I had never worked with Unreal Engine and was unwilling to switch to it, but decided that if I can explore their documentation, I can maybe build my own version of a gameplay ability system in Unity. And looking into Unreal's gameplay ability system, they had 3 specific subsystems that worked together to build the gameplay ability system. First one was gameplay tags. The idea is that you can have a set of tags, and you can assign and take away tags from your unit at any given time during your gameplay. You can then use these tags to identify if your unit is stunned, if it's currently moving, or if it's dead, or anything else that you want to identify. A similar concept exists in Unity, but the problem is that each game object can have only one tag in Unity, while in Unreal's gameplay ability system, a unit can have as many tags as they want. Another functionality that comes with gameplay tags in Unreal system is that it's hierarchical. But this hierarchical pattern was too confusing for my smooth brain to understand. So for my implementation, I had no hierarchical relation between the tags. At the end, this was quite simple to implement in Unity with scriptable objects. Number 2. Gameplay attributes. While tags represent the state a unit can be in, attributes represent the actual values a unit contains. This can be considered the character data, such as health, move speed, or armor. In Unreal, they have 2 fields, base value and current value. How it can be interpreted is, if you are getting a move speed buff, your current value of your move speed is increasing. But after the time, once your move speed buff is over, your move speed returns back to its base value. Again, this was simple enough to implement. In addition, we don't hardcode the variables of the attributes. Instead, they have string identifiers that give us the value, and we store them in a dictionary. This is much more flexible than storing them hard-coded in a static variable. Finally, the big boy, the gameplay effects. This is how attributes and gameplay tags are modified in the Unreal system. And in fact, the effects can do much more than that. Basically, anything your hero needs to do needs to go through this gameplay effect. Again, I haven't used Unreal to understand the full extent of their gameplay effects, but I knew what I wanted my gameplay effects to achieve. Basically, I wanted my gameplay effects to modify attributes, tags, and execute any function on the unit that I'm targeting. I tried to make them as generalizable as possible, but throughout this development journey, I had to rewrite them multiple times. With all 3 of these systems working together, making a hero shooter became easier. Let me say that again, easier, not easy. This still reduced my sanity meter like I was playing Don't Starve. So let's get into it. For this video, I got to finish 3 characters. A warrior, a mage, and a dragon. Warrior was my first testing ground. For him, I wanted to implement a couple of things. 1. A basic attack that stands in place, swings the sword, and deals some damage. Secondly, a 2-part dash attack. The first part of the attack is the dash, and the second part of the attack is the attack itself. Simple enough. Third, a knockback attack, where the warrior is jumping up in the air, and once it hits the ground, is knocking back all the impacted enemies. And finally, a shield that blocks incoming attacks. While working on this system, I saw many issues with my current implementation and had to rewrite the system over and over again because it was not powerful enough to achieve my tasks. But each time I rewrote the system, I could see it getting more powerful. While working on all of this, I also dipped my toes into understanding animations in Unity. Remember, this was my previous game. There's a reason it's just a box, because I didn't know how animations worked in Unity. After the Mighty Warrior was ready, it was time for me to work on the mage. The mage was supposed to be a supportive character, and my first character with projectiles. Projectiles in online games is a whole can of worms that I won't even get into. But the summary of it is that animation accurate hit detection is quite a difficult topic. So, me being the lazy person that I am, I decided to completely ignore this topic. Instead, we have boxes. If you hit a box, you deal damage. Great. No headshots, no nothing. After all, it's a hitbox. Why haven't anyone else done this? The major benefit of this is that it takes a heavy burden of our technical requirements. But at the same time, it makes the game easier to play for old people like me who doesn't know how to aim. You know, we always gotta look at the silver lining. It's not that we can't do it, it's that we don't want to. That's our game design principle. Anyways, for the mage, I had the following skills in mind. 1. A heal projectile. 2. A stun projectile. 3. An ability to create destructible boxes. And 4. An ability that gives invulnerability to an area. While these were simple to implement originally, I started to see some major flaws when it came to testing. Everything was working fine when I was playing as the host, and projectiles were firing successfully. But when I started testing as the remote players, I saw that projectiles were sometimes not firing, and sometimes were firing more often than they should. This was a major problem, because it made me realize there are some things wrong with my system that I had never accounted for. It wasn't as simple as fixing a small bug in an if statement or a function. I had to basically rewrite my entire system. This was, to be honest, quite devastating, and I was about to give up. But I remembered I came so far and learned so much, so I decided to give it one more shot and re-implemented the gas system. After a week of delay, I rewrote the entire system, this time accounting successfully for the remote players, and my projectiles were firing successfully. Finally, my mage was ready. But I felt I needed at least 5 heroes in order to have a valid hero shooter. Because at the end, my game was supposed to be 5 versus 5, and I don't think you can have a 5 versus 5 game with only 2 characters. So I kept on going. My third and final hero for today was the dragon. For the dragon, I had the following 4 abilities in my mind. 1. The ability to fly, but in a way that it would get impacted if the player was stunned, so that they would start getting impacted by gravity and fall down. 2. A projectile that exploded and dealt damage to all surrounding enemies over time. 3. Another dash effect, this time in the air. And finally 4. A fire tornado coming from the mouth of the dragon. Now, just to give you guys an idea of what I'm thinking of when I'm implementing these abilities. What goes into the mind of the genius when he is designing and balancing his game? Well, to be honest with you, basically nothing. I'm just thinking of ability ideas and seeing if they can be implemented with my current ability system. If they are not, I iterate on my ability system to now support these type of abilities. And if they already work, awesome. What that also means is all the spells and the characters you are seeing in this video are up for change. Meaning, if we find a better idea in the future, we can change them, we can rebalance them, and we can redesign them. We can even plug an ability from Hero A into Hero B, and everything should work fine. So, I went ahead and implemented new skills for the dragon. The flight was simple, because it was basically the death movement from my previous game. The exploding projectile was a bit more difficult, but still manageable, and I found some good particles to make the visualizations better. The fire tornado, on the other hand, was much harder. I knew which asset I wanted to use for the visualization, but realized my current system didn't support the implementation of an ability that was basically applied over time. I finally hacked out one way to do it. But for this video, this was basically it. I developed 3 characters so far, and plan to develop a few more and see if I want to keep the project going. A project of this scale requires a bunch of iteration and testing, and in a multiplayer game, this is very hard for me to do so. So, if this game interests you, please subscribe and join to my Discord. I plan to host game tests and get ideas of the community. Thank you for watching this far and see you in the next video. Bye.